Thanks a lot for joining us again. It's Journalist Hangout special in commemoration of Nigeria's inauguration. And of course, as you must have been following, the new president has been sworn in. Bola Tinubu at the Eagle Square earlier today also gave a speech titled The Nigerian Ideal, and that's what we have been dissecting here on the program today. Let's bring in Dario Dufo, who is also a journalist, a senior journalist at that, to speak to some of the issues that stand out for him. Hello, Dari. It's good to have you join us. If you can hear me, what are your takeaways from the president's inaugural speech?
Thank you very much. I can hear you very clearly. And thanks for having me. I would say that listening to the president today, I felt quite relieved because he is coming into office with a clear idea of what is to be done. And if you peruse that speech very well, he touched on almost all issues that are of concerns for Nigerians. Take a look at the issue of oil subsidy. He's taking the bull by the horn with the statement that oil subsidy is gone. He's making it very clear and clearing all doubts about what will happen to that policy. And he went on to talk about the Naira issue. And he did say that it will be reviewed. He made it clear that both old and new currencies will be legal tenders as far as his government is concerned. And he made the much expected promise that the issue, the policy, will be reviewed and necessary steps will be taken to ensure that it is more people-friendly. He said it that whatever the good idea behind it, the implementation was too harsh on Nigerians. And of course, he did not leave out security. And he made a very robust promise to tackle insurgency and other criminalities anywhere in the country. And these are issues Nigerians look forward to a government that would, do what is needed. And he spoke about the economy. If you look at it, a lot is expected from him as far as the economy is concerned. People are waiting for him to come repeat the magic of Lagos at the national level. And it appears he's not going to disappoint, given the way he has started. We have a speech you can sit down with, digest, and have takeaways. Whatever your view, whatever your expectation, if you look at that speech, you see that the incoming administration has its eye on the ball. And the expectations won't be in vain. And a lot of Nigerians are waiting on President Bola Tinubu to actually turn things around. And that's my takeaway from this actually is the fact that he's setting his priorities right very of the nation, and this is good for all of us.
Right. While I do, so on this issue of fuel subsidy now, we just before the former president left, he presented a bill of a loan that he got from the World Bank that seeks or aims to address welfare concerns that may arise as a result of the fuel subsidy removal. And talking about continuity, it's currently before the lawmakers, but about the concerns that some may have, Mr. Dariru said something about the concerns he has about, the impact of the fuel subsidy removal. But do you share these concerns as against the necessity behind the removal?
There's no way subsidy will be removed that there will be no, that we are not going to have some challenges. But I think it's interesting that the president is frank, is honest enough to tell us that, look, this is what I want to do. And I think he spoke about how the funds that will be saved, will be invested into education, infrastructure, and agriculture. So it's going to be tough. Don't let us deceive ourselves. Because if you look at the way the country is today, things are really down. And he's coming in at a time that I really don't envy him. He's going to he needs to work extra hard to turn around the country. It's not going to be an easy thing. Security challenges are there. Economic problems are there. Our debt now is about 77 trillion. In 2015, when President Buhari came, we are talking about 9.7 trillion. You know, the GDP is contracting, now about 2.3%. Small-scale enterprises drop almost about 2 million of them are they are off the radar. Because of, apart from COVID-19, then the CBN policies that came in recently. But he spoke about cleansing. He said, he used the word house cleaning within the banking system. So I believe that if we can block the loopholes, if we can tackle waste, if we can get the right people who are selfless, to handle these critical areas, initially it's going to be very tough, but at the end of the day, it's going to be better for us. Like I said, when you have a president that is an accountant, he knows about the figures. You can't just come with one policy and say, look, let us devalue the naira. Then he'll be asking what are the implications. He already knows. One of the strong points of Awolowo was that not that he was just a lawyer, he was also an economist. He read commerce. So for having an accountant, I believe that, he should be able to understand the implications of some of these actions, because Nigerians are waiting for transformation economically in their own lives that has been, traumatized for the past 1 year. So I have confidence that if we have the right people, reforming the CBN, in the banking sector, agriculture, palliatives, and then small-scale industry. He spoke about promoting domestic manufacturing. If those manufacturing companies can come, and he spoke about jobs. Let's say we are going to get about billions of people getting jobs, to improve the economy and also to create a situation where more families will have access to opportunities. I think the country will be able to, to improve in the economic areas. But like Babajide said, it's going to be the first 12 months. We need to prepare to fasten our belt before we can begin to see the dividends.
And also from that inaugural speech, BKO, the president said in his words, our government will work with the National Assembly to fashion out an omnibus jobs and prosperity bill. He spoke about his desire to create 1 million jobs within the ICT industry alone. And of course, the issue of jobs is also one major concern. One out of 3 persons are said to be unemployed in Nigeria.
Yes, it's something that he has to address, and he has to find the right people, to work with him. I have said that, look, Nigeria has quality manpower. Some of them are abroad. I know that the president traveled abroad on a number of occasions. Every time he travels, the naysayers conclude that he went to hospital. But Bola Tinubu has met some of the diaspora Nigerians that he wants to bring into his administration. He is a master at discovering talents. And I can tell you, he already has an idea of the people that he's going to use. He's working with some of them. And the excitement of young people to work with the administration is there. People will discover that in the coming days. A lot of them think that young people do not want to have anything to do with this president. But they are going to discover that the excitement to work with this administration and change the fortunes of our country is there. And is met with people who will be part of his administration, who will work with him, either as cabinet ministers or in other categories. He has an idea of what he wants to do. He's a smart man. He is quick thinking. So sometimes his ideas may seem crazy to people, but that's because you do not know him. And at the end of the day, those who argue with him, this will not work, this will not work, they will see that the fullness of time, that policy will work. So Asiwaju is not afraid to take big decisions. You know, they will fight him, but at the end of the day, such big decisions yield dividends. And I know that he has plans for young people. He brought young people into his administration. He created the idea of one day governor of Lagos that afforded 16-year-olds opportunity to run Lagos for one day. So he's always done that. He's the first person to come up with the idea of paying WAEC fees for indigent students. Many people will not have been able to get into institutions of higher learning were it not for the fact that government helped to pay their WAEC and NECO fees. So this is the person that is coming, that has taken over power today, and a lot of us are positive. Falana said Nigerians should challenge Asiwaju, remind him of his promises and all that, keep him on his toes, so to say. I also support the idea. We must keep our leaders on their toes. Asiwaju has made big promises that I'm convinced will change our country in many ways. It is our responsibility to put him on his toes, remind him at every turn that, Mr. President, you promised this. When is it going to happen? Back in 1999, Lagos was full of fields. I think I've even given this testimony before. I was editor of PM News. And I remember Osekome, the lawyer, calling Asiwaju the absentee governor. But by the time he got his policy right and came up with this idea of private sector participation in refuse evacuation, come on, refuse that used to be the height of as high as a skyscraper, they all disappeared. Lagos now began to have just litters. My office used to be where Sweet Sensation is now in Ogba. There was a big refuse in front of our office. One night, that refuse dump disappeared to not materialize anymore. He may not get the solution right immediately, but I'm confident that he's going to ultimately solve a lot of those big problems.
All right, gentlemen, that's all we have time for on this subject, of course. But then there will be, other opportunities to dissect the president's speech and, of course, talk about expectations of many Nigerians. But long and short of it all is that the president has said these Nigeria ideals will be the Nigerian reality under his watch, and we honestly wish him well. But now let's beam our searchlight on the Muhammadu Buhari presidency, which ended earlier today. In his valedictory speech to Nigerians on Sunday, the former president scored his administration high on economy and insecurity. Assessing that speech, of course, and that's what we're talking about now. In the end note of that speech, the former president said he was leaving the country better than he met it 8 years ago. Mr. Dahiru, what do you make of the former president's valedictory speech?
Contrary to what the former president said about leaving Nigeria better than he met it, I think that he left Nigeria worse than he met it in 2015, and all the indices and indicators are clear in this direction. I mean, Nigeria, most of us are Nigerians. We know the condition of the country in 2015. As bad as it was, what he has left behind is worse than what was in 2015. And I don't think we need to belabor ourselves interrogating that claim, because it is all too clear. Is it insecurity? Is it the economy? Or is it corruption? In fact, so bad was the outgoing administration's performance that even the president that has just been sworn in today had to run on a mantra of renewed hope. It was like a conscious effort on the part of the ruling APC to say, yes, we may have dashed the hope of Nigerians when in 2015 they trooped out in their millions to vote out an incumbent PDP administration of Goodluck Jonathan, to vote in the opposition candidates, then General Muhammadu Buhari, into power. That hope may have been dashed. That change revolution was betrayed because of the underperformance of the outgone administration. And so it is clear that, contrary to what he claimed, he is leaving Nigeria worse than he met it. And everything indicates that much. But for me, I would like us to interrogate some of the reasons why President Muhammadu Buhari, or former President Muhammadu Buhari, failed to achieve his three key campaign promises of fixing the economy, containing insecurity, and taming the cancer of corruption. In many of my write-ups and public commentaries, I've identified the president's sectionalism, his elevation of sectionalism to a near state policy as his greatest undoing. Sectionalism breeds corruption. Sectionalism breeds mediocrity and incompetence. Sectionalism divides the people because it makes the government unable to impartially enforce law and order, because under such a system, some Nigerians are more Nigerian than the others, while some are less Nigerian than the others. And so that in itself will heighten insecurity. And for me, we need to use that as a reference point for the new administration of President Ahmed Bola Tinubu. If there's one thing he must avoid in his engagement as President and Commander-in-Chief, it's sectionalism. He must eschew all forms of tribalism, nepotism, religious bigotry, cronyism, and favoritism on the basis of ethnicity, religion, or region of origin. Thankfully, he spoke that much in his speech. And from his antecedents, he's a great manager of diversity. So if he's able to get it right,
all right, Mr. Mojid, we would have to end our conversation with you at this point. I'm terribly sorry for the interruption, but we really have run out of time, and we want to get final takes from the gentlemen in the studio. Mojid Dairo, newspaper columnist, thank you very much. Quickly on the issue of the legacy of the former President Buhari, what's it like for you?
Well, I think for me, if you look at infrastructure, you give it to him, railways, airports. But in terms of managing the economy and security, I think only Nigerians will score him very, very low. If we look at our debt when it came in, 9.7 trillion, now we are about 7 trillion. And then more people, in the north, we have about 86 million people that are poor. In the south, about 35 million people that are poor, even by statistics from the government itself. So I think Nigerians are crying. We are in a state of stupor, economically.
But he alluded to the COVID period.
Yes, that is true. There are some natural things that came in, that one could not help it. But the reality is that Nigerians are passing through very difficult moments. We just need to admit that. But we can't also dismiss the fact that he tried his best in some other areas.
All right. BKO, among the gains of the former president, he spoke about the Electoral Act and the fact that the this past elections were the best in Nigeria's history. What do you think?
I think the presidential election, in my view, was the best. Because I looked at the way the election went, those who lost, the caliber of people who lost the election, the caliber of people who won the election, or Okada rider getting elected into the House of Reps. It's never happened before. Forget what the naysayers are saying. It's because their favored candidates lost. An election in which 7 governors couldn't get into the Senate. It's unprecedented. An election in which 12 APC governors could not win for Asiwaju in their states. An election in which Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, with his close pal, Nasiru El-Rufai, as governor of Kaduna, Asiwaju Tinubu won only one local government in the whole of Kaduna State, and that was Gwari, that he visited late that night. So, in my view, yes, they did well to a large extent, but to say he left Nigeria better in infrastructure, yes. In economy, no.
All right.
In many other areas, education, no. So, I don't think Mr. President was right. And I've always said that he should leave us to judge him. No, let's put this one in. I've always said, let Nigerians judge you. Don't judge yourself. It makes sense. to let us judge him rather than say, oh, you left Nigeria better than he made. When he got into office, it was 180 naira to $1. Today is 750.
All right, gentlemen, we have run out of time. BKO there, Babajide Kolade Otitoju, Dare Odufo, of course, Mr. Mojid Dahiru, who joined us from Abuja, and last but certainly not the least, Wale Adeoye. We thank you all for speaking with us on this special edition of Journalists Hangout. Of course, you know, you can watch tomorrow another episode that is of the program, and you can also watch a repeat broadcast of this episode tonight at 11. And join us on Sunday, of course, from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. for Journalists Hangout on Sunday. We're on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. From all of us here, many thanks for watching. I am Kemi Foladiemo. Bye for now, and God bless Nigeria.